Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are here at Christ Hospital, located at 176 Palisade Avenue in the beautiful city of Jersey City, New Jersey. And I am very, very excited, as you can hear from my voice here, to be joined by the Director of Neuro Intervention, and that is Dr. Jeffrey Farkas. Dr. Farkas, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Exactly. And I have to say, Dr. Farkas, you are the smartest person we've ever had on this show.
Maybe.
Much smarter than our resident political analyst, Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Much smarter. So.
Oh, you haven't had my wife on this.
Oh, okay. I really, really appreciate it. Well, Dr. Farkas, of course, you are the system-wide director of neuro intervention for the CarePoint systems, which of course includes Hoboken University Medical Center, Christ Hospital, and our friends over at Bayonne Medical Center. How long have you been with the CarePoint family, and why did you decide to come here?
So I've been with the CarePoint family for about 8 years now. My group and myself are physicians who treat stroke, and we treat stroke using interventions. And we came to CarePoint because we realized that there was a paucity of doctors who do what we do in the area. So, and it's become so important to have a capability for stroke treatment in your local hospital system. So we partnered together with CarePoint to come here and make this happen.
That is fabulous. And we were talking before the segment started regarding the different types of strokes, because you hear people who are talking in layman's terms. Well, I just had a mini stroke, I had a massive stroke, and so on and so forth. But obviously, the medical terminology is a little different.
So that's a great question. A stroke is immediate, or a stroke is an area of the brain that dies because of lack of blood flow or because there's bleeding inside the brain. So a stroke can be either ischemic, where there's a lack of blood flow, and a hemorrhagic, when there's too much blood flow that spills outside of the blood vessels. And those are both medical emergencies, and it's critical that those patients who have those symptoms come to the hospital right away, because the faster we can get to them, the better the outcomes can be.
Absolutely. And you mentioned symptoms. And why don't we talk about symptoms? Because a high percentage of patients that come in already had a stroke, as you know. So how could people really, realize that they might be, having a stroke in the near future?
So, I mean, sometimes stroke doesn't give you symptoms, and 1 minute you're perfectly normal, and the next minute you're on the floor or unable to move your arm or leg. And it's really important not that only the patient identify that they're having a stroke, because sometimes it's their brain that's involved, right, so they don't recognize it. So the family members or friends or coworkers is really critically important. And so for the ischemic stroke, we teach something called B fast. The B stands for balance, if the balance is off. I stand for vision, if the vision is off. F is for face, where the face is not symmetrical anymore, the smile is off. And the arms, are the arms straight, or are they falling to one side? And then S stands for speech, which is critically important. If the speech is not perfect, or you're having words getting out, trouble getting out, then there's a problem. And T stands for time. Get to the emergency room as fast as possible. Not to your doctor's office, but to the emergency room. Because if you go to your doctor, you'll have to come to the emergency room to get your treatment.
Right. And it's so important to have a facility like this in this area. Of course, Hudson County is the most densely populated county in the state of New Jersey, and New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the country. So therefore, Hudson County is the most densely populated county in the United States. And to have a state-of-the-art facility like we're sitting in right now is just super important with the experts here at CarePoint Health.
I think that's incredibly important to stress.
Right.
You have to understand that you get one opportunity when you're having a stroke to get better. And that depends on where they bring you and who's available to treat you. And this is really the only facility right now in Hudson County that does this and is certified as a thrombectomy center for that.
It's absolutely fabulous. And let's talk about the operating room that we're in currently. Obviously, if you're a victim of a stroke, you would be brought in this type of operating room. And what type of procedure do you perform here?
So that's a great question. So we operate on the brain, but we don't open the skull. We're like plumbers that will fix your pipes from the inside. So what we do is the patient's on a table, and we're using x-rays to look inside the body. And we're manipulating tools and devices onto the screen to go into the brain, into the tiny blood vessels, and remove the blood clot or to fix the leak by filling it with coils or other devices that we can put into the brain to prevent that from happening.
And usually you're stationed on the other side of this operating table, and then you have a team behind this glass over here. We can't not mention your team, correct?
No, our team.
What are they doing there?
Oh, they're doing everything. They're getting equipment, they're helping us at the bedside, they're monitoring the patient, they're working with the anesthesiologist. It's really fantastic to work with this team here because it's cohesive, it's like a family. And we get to work together all the time, and really that goes, it goes with a great flow.
I'm sure you've seen many patients and victims come through your doors. And I was just wondering if there was more of a personal story that you want to share with the audience regarding one of these victims.
Yeah, I think one of our amazing saves, and I thank God that we have a lot of them, but not everyone can be saved, but we have had a lot of them here, is because of the teamwork that we have with Christ Hospital. It's a smaller hospital. It's not like a huge hospital, but everybody knows each other and works together for the benefit of the patient. And so we've had patients who I've seen in other hospitals not do well because that communication and teamwork isn't there to get things done. And we had this patient who was fairly young, in her mid-50s, and she had a big brain bleed. And she immediately was brought here, and we fixed her aneurysm, and then 10 minutes later she's in the operating room. And that was like a crazy case because, when you see that type of hemorrhage in the brain, you think this is really going to be a bad outcome. She's back in the community doing everything that she was doing. And it really speaks for the volumes for what a small facility can do if everyone works together.
Absolutely. Well, you said you're like a family here. I mean, and everybody knows their roles. It's almost like the Pulse with Peter B. Everybody knows their roles, and you can create miracles, basically.
I think what it tells us is that if we work together for the benefit of the patient and we have an optimistic view of what we can do, we can create that pathway for our patients.
Right. And Dr. Farkas, I think that, you went over some symptoms of what stroke victims might feel. Are there any preventable measures that a person should look out for when it comes to possibly having stroke later in life?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, the most important thing is really to go see your doctor and to get a checkup. I mean, it's simple things as taking your blood pressure and seeing if your blood pressure is normal, taking your blood sugar, seeing if your blood sugar is normal. Those are things that are avoidable, and we can treat before they become strokes. Mm-hmm. So if you abuse your blood pressure and your blood pressure is always high, you're more likely to get a hemorrhagic stroke or a bleeding event.
Right.
So if you take care of your blood pressure, you're less likely to have that, and if you take your medications. And we have great referring doctors out here at Christ and the Center for Personalized Medicine to be able to identify those risk factors. So I think the most important thing is if you're having symptoms of a stroke, don't ignore them. And if you're not having symptoms of stroke, get your blood pressure and your sugar checked, and that can tell.
And finally, Dr. Farkas, because we are running short on time over here, if somebody's watching at home and saying, something he said is a symptom that I'm nervous that I might be having a stroke in the near future, how can they possibly contact you or the medical team here at CarePoint?
So the medical, we can put the number up on the medical team. So we have a 1-800 number for further information that you can get for the Center of Personalized Health and for our Brain and Neuroscience Center.
But, heed the warnings like Dr. Farkas said.
Yes.
So, all right, Dr. Jeffrey Farkas, such a pleasure having you on. Still the smartest person to ever be on the show. The Director of Neurointervention for all of the CarePoint systems. Again, that's Hoboken University Medical Center. Of course, Christ Hospital, where we are at 176 Palisade Avenue, and our friends over at Bayonne Medical Center. Thank you again for coming on and enlightening us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, folks, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. I'm the best host, better than that bum Biancamano, and also better than that bum Biancamano is my good friend, Natalia Ioffe, president of the Jersey City Board of Education. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Josh, for having me. You and Peter. And don't say bad things about him ever.
Oh, I will, all the time. 99% of the things I say. But we've had you on before, talk about what's going on in Jersey City, in the Board of Education and beyond. I feel like you should be hosting this segment. Yeah, why don't you tell us what's going on in Jersey City?
Well, thank you. And so I really appreciate this opportunity also because this is a very special year for our school board and our school system in Jersey City. This year, the Jersey City school system is turning exactly 150 years old. And that is very exciting. I'm a big history buff, so for me, it's a very special moment. I totally geek out at times like this. So we recently discovered that the oldest schools and actually several cities that were in the area of Jersey City but were consolidated into one, and subsequently also the school system became consolidated into one in 1873. And so we are preparing as a school district to celebrate this amazing moment. And it also happens that when that happened 150 years ago, understandably, Jersey City has always been a city of immigrants. It has been this port of entry, the golden door into the new world. At that moment, I think almost 40+% of the student population was immigrant population with different languages. And now, I mean, forget about it. We pretty much have representation from, I think, every corner of the planet, which is an amazing, amazing thing. And one of the reasons, so we are in a hospital, obviously, because the program takes place here, but I want to pay special kind of respect to this moment because it so happens that, aside from serving on the school board, and I was honored to be helping some families who were arriving as a result of the war last year. And so they were in situations where they had children of school age and they needed to be registered for schools. And one of the first things that you get asked is vaccines. Doctor becomes the most immediate need. And so through the public school system, these children were referred to this very hospital for those vaccine support, for any kind of checkups. And I didn't know, I arrived to this country 30 years ago from Ukraine. So it was just so amazing for me to see this level of support happening in this community. So, it's nice. It's a bit of a full circle for me today.
Well, that's terrific.
So,
and for viewers out there, if you just tuned in, you got to watch all the segments. But we're at the wonderful Christ Hospital in Jersey City, part of the CarePoint system of hospitals. And it's just so terrific that child refugees from the war in Ukraine were able to get here and be vaccinated and have their needs met by a wonderful, wonderful hospital and community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on that note, I also, I never pass up the opportunity to emphasize the value of public schools in this country because truly, the Jersey City Public Schools, on their logo, they have the Statue of Liberty. And for a good reason, obviously, because of where we're located, but also in its mission and its purpose. And that's what I saw kind of through these refugee children coming in, not just from Ukraine, but from any place, from any circumstance in the world. The fact that public school is truly a place where whatever happened to the child, wherever they come from, the public school is the place where the child will be taken in, without question, provided with medical references, housing references, language support, food, any imaginable support that a child and their family might require. And that is an amazing thing. And that is why, it's so important to constantly advocate for the public school system in this country, not just for the quality of its education, but to maintain its successful existence.
I could not agree with you more, and I hear what you're saying, but we got to take a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Hudson River Care and Counseling. Hello, I'm Dr. Pam Pater-Ennis, the CEO and founder of Hudson River Care and Counseling with over 30 years of clinical social work experience and therapy. We are a progressive counseling and coaching practice with a diverse team that brings a holistic approach to clients. We offer support both in person and through digital platforms such as telehealth. Consider us a safe haven that you can trust with care for your mental health needs. Visit our website to set up a consultation today.
Welcome back. I'm so glad you stuck with us out there in TV land and on the interweb. I'm Josh Einstein. I'm the host with the most on this segment of The Pulse with Peter B. And I'm so glad that she didn't run away. My good friend, Natalia Ioffe, president of the Jersey City Board of Education. Now, previously, we were talking about what was going on in Jersey City, and you talked about how it's the 150-year anniversary of the Board of Education, of public education in Jersey City as a city. But I want to, if you'll permit it, I want to just shift to the more mundane, the more political, the more, I guess the dirtier, right? Which is in perfect contrast to where we are right now at wonderful, clean, smart, and intelligent Christ Hospital, part of the CarePoint system. So what's going on in the political world in Jersey City?
Well, I can't speak for the entire political world in Jersey City, but even, the Board of Education is that perfect kind of entity where politics and actual public service unites, because unfortunately, even something as vital as serving our children inevitably becomes connected to politics, because whether we're advocating for funding for our schools, we have to do it through politics. We have to do it through partnerships on every level of government, whether it's municipal, county, and state, and so on and so forth. So, there is a school board election every year. Mm-hmm. This year is no different. I am up for re-election next year, so,
So you're safe this year?
Well, I'm safe this year. I have a lot of work to do this year. And I think this year we have a total of 10 candidates. As always, the teachers union is running a slate of 3. There's 3 seats up for grabs. We have some incumbents that are running again for re-election. We have a few independents, which, I always encourage. It's a free country. Everyone should run who wants to run, So it's going to be an interesting and dynamic campaign season before November 7th. And we have different other elections, commissioner elections, and mayoral election is looming in, 2025. Mm-hmm. Gubernatorial election is always also something that the public schools are keeping a very keen eye on, because that may determine the funding for our public schools. And Jersey City public schools have been notoriously underfunded, on a state level through various reforms.
I mean, the question is Mayor Fulop, who some critics have said has underfunded the schools, if he runs and is successful in his run for governor, as he stated that he's running for governor, will he continue to do what the critics say, neglect New Jersey City schools, or will there be more funding forthcoming from the state if he was governor?
I can't tell you if he's made any commitments in that regard, but I would hope that the commitments that he's made on the local level, that he would continue them, if he wins, because local initiatives such as the tax abatements, mm-hmm. which transform into pilot payments in lieu of taxes, those developments that don't necessarily pay property taxes, that are supposed to sustain our public schools, but are, paid out in the form of a payment directly to the municipality. Mayor Fulop has committed to share those revenues with public schools. I'd like to see that happen because our schools certainly need it. The payroll tax initiative, which was championed in order to supplement the gap between the state funding and the local tax levy, enforcement of that, proper implementation of that, I feel like those are all the things that he kind of brought forth. The important thing is to stick to it and to make, to be committed to it and to make it happen.
Oh yeah, just so viewers out there understand, when a city does a pilot agreement, payment in lieu of taxes, the property tax money that will go to the county government or the local board of education is not collected. The city is the only collecting agency, and they can choose not to give that money to the county or the board of education. But unfortunately, I'm sorry that I have to end this right here because I've definitely done too much talking, and I know everyone out there on the internet and TV is tired of hearing my voice, and they love hearing your voice. So again, thank you so much for coming on, Natalia.
Thank you. We ended right on the money, which is also always very important.
We'll have you on again, I'm sure. I love having you. I want to have you.
I love coming
here. I want to have you on even more often. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, 5 Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. And now that Josh Sotomayor Einstein is out here, and thank God for that, I mean, the chair is creaking after he sat in my chair, we actually have some real talent on the sets, and he is a not so unfamiliar face to the show. It is our Hudson County Commissioner and Chairman of the Board of Commissioners, Anthony, and of course, everybody in Hoboken knows him as Stick Romano. Chairman Romano, it is such a pleasure having you on.
No, it's an honor coming back, and I enjoyed last time. Josh did a great job on the interview, and you and I go back many years, and you have come from a wonderful family, and as I said, it's exciting to be on your show again.
Absolutely. And Chairman, just a little bit of a background about yourself. I mean, you are now going into your 14th year being elected as, of course, it was first called the Freeholder, and now they're called Hudson County Commissioners. But you've been in civil service your whole life. You were a police officer, followed by a captain. Just a little bit of a background for the audience who might not know you, which is probably nobody out there.
Born and raised in Hoboken, attended St. Peter's Prep, St. Peter's University, where I got my BA, and JCU, where my master's degree in criminal justice. I became a police officer. I was about 22 years old, rose through the ranks, civil service testing to the rank of captain, left as the night commander. I also, as a young father, I also worked another job as a teacher proudly in Hoboken High School. That was a great experience. And then in St. Peter's University, where I taught sociology and criminal justice. And then at the Bergen County Police Academy for sporadically.
And that's wonderful. As I mentioned, just devoted his total career to assisting the residents of Hoboken and now Hudson County, of course. And why do you continue to do this? A lot of people will say, oh, Anthony, my goodness, you should retire. You look great, by the way. But you should retire and so on and so forth.
I thought, you know, I went through a few health bumps in
and how
my
are you
life
doing,
too.
by the way?
Good, thank you.
Right.
And I feel that when God is given much, much is expected. And you get drawn in, almost as Al Pacino said in his famous line, I keep getting pulled back in. I've been honored to be Deputy Public Safety Director now also in Hoboken under Director Ferranti and Mayor Bala, working with the chiefs. And yesterday was a special day, 9/11. We were there. I was there the first night with first few nights when at Ground Zero, when the collapse of the towers. Good fortune of making many connections in law enforcement through different federal, state, local agencies. NYPD with the counterterrorism, which was a very good experience. So I know eventually, you're coming to the end of the line, and I'll know it's like when an athlete knows when it's time to leave the stage. And as long as I can continue serving in a competent way, and that the people elect me because that's who puts me there, then I continue.
Exactly. And I wonder if you want to explain to the audience maybe some of your accomplishments in your current role as Hudson County Commissioner.
Well, as you know, Hoboken we have a county park, Columbus Park, which is actually it's one of the crown jewels in the Hudson County Park system. And I continually fight to make it better and better, the most modern and safe playground equipment for our youth. Also the spray park, and we do our Columbus Day ceremony there every year, and it's an exciting time. We do the Christmas lighting, which was never done before. And the greenery is beautiful there. We have movies in the park, one in July, one in August. And I'm also on the board of Hudson County Community College, which has now grown into probably the top or one of the premier community colleges in New Jersey. We also built so many different buildings and enlarged the campus. Also, we have our Hudson County Schools of Technology. We're now adding to that at the Liberty Science Center, and a satellite in Bayonne, besides the beautiful campus in Secaucus, and the rehabilitation of the one in downtown Jersey City, and the repaving of many streets in Hoboken, ironically, which is a funny history of the many county streets in a mile square that belong to the county, such as Observer Highway, 14th Street, Garden Street, Park Avenue, Hudson Street, and we try to keep them and maintain them as the best that we can. I mean, there's some of the things we can go on that the county does. We have a shared services with the county sheriff, which is important because now in law enforcement there's a shortage of police officers. Also, as chair of public safety, we interact with the prosecutor's office, Office of Emergency Management, Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, which we now do. We've enlarged that facility and the duty that gets performed there.
And there's a misconception that I hear. I know it's a misconception, not because you're my friend, but because I just know it's categorically false in terms of how many pensions you receive. You said you're the deputy public safety director. You're a former police captain. It is one pension you receive.
I have one pension. My one pension is that of a Hoboken police captain. I have no pension as a county commissioner. It was stopped my first year. The pensions for commissioners were stopped. I did not, my teaching pension was only those 7 years, and it rolled into my
captain?
police many years ago. So, and as part-time with the city of Hoboken, I received no medical benefits or no pension benefits.
Right. So if you're lucky enough, you're running for re-election November the 7th. You are the Democrat in the race. In District 5, it's still District 5, or did they remap it? Yes, did they district map? You're running against a Republican challenger. It's one of the only, I believe, one of only 2 commissioner races who has opposition, if I'm not mistaken, against a Republican challenger. Am I right?
I'm not sure how many have challenges. I think Kenny Kopaz has a challenger.
Out in Bayonne, right?
Bayonne, and I don't think, yes, I think there was somebody else, I think. I'm not
All right,
sure.
so 2 or 3 commissioner races. You're running against Joseph Bronco, who is the chairman of the Hoboken GOP. He was a friend of yours. He decided to branch out and become a Republican and start, was elected as the chair of the GOP. Obviously, this friendship is no longer existent, correct? But in terms of your goals for the next term, what are some of your goals and anything you want to say about your opponent jumping in the race?
Well, everyone has a right to run. I was in a tough primary with someone that you can't seem to get traction to. I like to talk to people and see if we have differences of philosophies and opinions, how we can work together. Hopefully, if I win this race, I could do that with I don't look at it as a Republican Democrat because I have many Republican friends in Hoboken going back many years since I was very young, and my mother and father. There's friendships there, so it's not really in Hoboken such a divisiveness as there is in other parts of the country. And I said, hopefully Joe will run a clean race, and that's all we ask. But hopefully, win, lose, or draw, we can work together in the future.
And you hit the nail on the head, and I want to segue to that. Working together is everything to being a county commissioner. You have a very good relationship with both mayors, Fulop and Bala, down in Hoboken. How important is it not to have a rabble-rouser as the next Hudson County commissioner, and not a person looking for a stepping stone, and just a person that works with the city officials, Board of Education officials? We were both Board of Education members in the past, and your fellow commissioners.
I think the hardest thing, and I learned that as a policeman. We had the pre-Jewish holiday security seminar, that the networking that you do as a law enforcement person with different agencies and collaborations during good times. So when you do need help and there's tough times, you have made that bond of friendship and relationship that's built on trust and friendship. And I think that's the key. And now you shift that over to the political world, which right now seems to be in turmoil, where things would used to be in moderation or centrist. You have now everybody out on the left or a lot of people out on the right.
Right.
And I think it's essential that you try to work it through. I try, and hopefully not everybody's going to like me, and at least I hope they can work with me. And that's the difficult part of politics. You feel let down when you feel that you couldn't get through to someone, or that people attack you personally when it's really politically. That's what I don't like, personal attacks.
Well, and I have to say, just a personal story, Anthony has known me probably since I was a child, and he is the only elected official that will always answer his phone. And he will, if he doesn't have the answer, he'll get you the answer. And that's so important to have as a Hudson County commissioner.
Well, I learned that from Senator Menendez and Senator Stack.
Right.
That you're put here by the people. We can never forget that. It's humility goes a long way. To me, whether it be that person in the car wash or that person in the dry cleaning store, I think it's important that you let them know that they're important.
Absolutely.
Because, the Ivy Tower syndrome is the worst thing an elected official can have. And, as you said, you can't please everybody. You can't give everybody what they want and need, but at least if you listen to their concerns, or at least be honest with them, even though if they don't like the answer and they don't resent you, they resent you, sometimes so be it.
Well, Hudson County Commissioner Chairman Anthony Stick Romano, pleasure having you on. I hope to see you on in a future show with me. I know you've been.
I would be honored, and hopefully, if things go well in the election, I'll be with you and Josh again.
I appreciate it. And good luck on Tuesday, November the 7th is election day. Polls are open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Anything else you want to say, like a 30-second elevator pitch to the audience?
Just want to also say with the up-and-coming holidays, Happy Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur to those of the Jewish persuasion in the audience. And looking forward to continuing to serve all the residents of Hudson County, because my responsibility as chairman is not only my district, it now belongs to all the residents of the county.
Thank you again and good luck. And I'm honored to call you a friend of mine. I really am.
It goes both ways. And my regards to your mother and father.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. I hope you have a great week, everybody.
Let's go, Mets.